Hi, I'm Mike, and I'm back. I thought this time I would go through some of the tools that I use on Linux and use every day. And this is gonna be a little weird because I got OBS over here, and I'm gonna be turning and looking at it all the time as I switch screens. So, not sure what all we're gonna have up here, but we'll have some stuff up here. So, yeah. So, tools I use every day. These are things that let me know how my system is working or give me information about my system. And other tools, like what editor I use and how I use different things to connect my different machines. And some of it's going to be terminal. Most of it probably going to be terminal. So, yeah, let's take a look. So, my first thing that I do is everybody knows top. Anybody's used Linux for very long or Unix. Top lists all your programs and who's using how much memory and how much CPU. So, there are versions of top that have come out since that have got so much more. And the one that I like the most is called btop. So this is btop. It gives you a section at the top of CPU, and there's 24 cores. And then the way I have it configured now, the next thing down is the GPU and how much memory it's using, how much utilization it has, how much power it's using, and the temperatures. So it's not doing much, so it's at 50 degrees Celsius. This one runs, it's a laptop, so they run warm. There are times when the CPU will get up to 90 and the GPU will get into the 70s, which is not that bad. Over on the other side, you've got memory. How much memory is there total? How much is used? What's available? Beside that is disks, all your different disks. So I've got root and I've got home, which are two separate disks, and how much memory is, or how much is used, how much is free, how much swap you're using, EFI. At the bottom is the Ethernet, and you can switch, if you have more than one Ethernet port, you may have to switch it to get to the one that's active. So, you know, it gives you things like 525 megabits download was my top, and my upload is 400. So, and all useful information. Here you've got the listing of the programs that are running. You can scroll to go to the ones that are below. If you want to, you can click on one and expand out to look at that, and then click it again and that goes away. And when you have it clicked out like that, you can hit kill, which we're not going to do to OBS or Firefox. And right now, the biggest thing being used is Xorg. And there's so much information here about your machine that you can have it running in a window or on another monitor while you're playing a game, and you can see how much CPU is being used, how much GPU is being used, whether or not you're getting over your temps. It's all there. So next thing we're going to look at, next thing we're going to look at is you want to get the information about your computer. And you want to be able to get what it's made of, all that stuff. So if you're having a problem, you can report, here's what my configuration is, here's my problem, and people can help you with that as you go. And a lot of people used to use NeoFetch, which works, but is really out of date. So I found one called FastFetch, which gives you more information basically generically. But that's not all it does. It doesn't just give you these things. There are configuration files. And you use the -C switch. And the one we're going to use is all. Because we want everything. And with my terminal at full height, it fits. So it tells you everything about the computer, from the OS and the BIOS, the boot manager. In this case, it's a notebook. The kernel you're using, your uptime, shells, different displays that are hooked up, monitors, kind of redundant, but there it is, what you're running them at. It shows you CPU information, shows you GPU information, shows you memory information, the battery, IP addresses. All kinds of stuff. Cameras, mouse, keyboard, and somewhere in there it says the weather. Right here. And it's supposedly sunny now at 7 o'clock at night, 8 o'clock at night, whatever o'clock at night it is. Yeah, so that's FastFetch. It gives you all the information you're ever going to want. So, other tools that I use, like I use LLMs quite a bit. And for that I use Llama. Llama, you'll notice it has Llama in it, which is a LLM. I'm not sure which ones we've got loaded. So Llama list tells you which ones you've got downloaded. If you want a new one, you do a Llama pull and the name. You find them on llama.org or llama.com. llama.com. And this one has got some interesting ones on it. So you run it in Linux, you run it in the terminal. On Windows, it has its own GUI. We're hoping the Linux GUI is coming soon, because you can do more in the GUI, like load a file, and then say, tell me about this file. For here, you have to paste and cut it in. So we're going to run -think. And it's going to take a second or two to load. And we're going to go hello, my name is Mike. It's going to think for a while. And then it's going to put out its answer. So you can ask it questions, but because it's running locally, this is all running locally. It's running on my machine. And what I can do is I can go over here, run a Llama PS, and it says there's 10 gigabits in size, Oh, 47% on CPU, 53% on GPU. And I suspect that that is the case because we're running OBS and it's using part of the GPU, I think. So normally the 7 billion 10 gigabyte would, well, it wouldn't fit. This is an 8 gigabyte processor. So 53% on the GPU is fine. So we can ask it questions. I haven't got a question in my mind, but you can just ask it questions like you would any LLM, but its data will be a year old because it takes them that long to train them. So the data that's training on is old. So it won't be able to tell you things like what's today's weather. There are models you can use that can do that, but they have to access the web. And I think you have to have the Windows version to do that. To get out of a program like that as quickly as I did, I push Control D. You don't have to type by or anything like that. It's just Control D. So you can run your LLMs locally on Linux if you've got enough VRAM to run them. And it doesn't have to be enough for the whole thing. If you've got RAM as well, this one has 32 gigabytes of RAM. So it'll run partially on the GPU and partially on the CPU, and it runs fine. Well, this one's not going to do that. Oh. ASCII cam's not going to run directly. Okay. For the fun of it, sometimes I run ASCII cam. Now I don't know if this is going to work because we're already using the camera. Sometimes I have to do that to get things to show. Will it run off video too? Failed. Device resources busy. ASCII cam is a camera that runs in your terminal and shows you what's on the camera using text. It's an interesting and silly thing. That's an ANSI image. Here's an ASCII image. That's the output from ASCII cam. It can be funny. And you take a screenshot of whatever you've got on your camera and send it to people and freaks them out. So that's ASCII cam. So I'm also using, if I can find it, DDC util. So on my desktop, I have a link. And what this does is it switches the monitor over to the other computer. Opening code. Okay, it didn't open any code. Okay, so DDC util set VCP, so video port 60 OXOF. OXOF is the number for the display port on the monitor. And the HDMI is OX11. If you're not used to it, the OX says this is hexadecimal, and F is the highest number in hexadecimal, which is 15. So it goes from 0 to F. So 1 is 1 in the 16 column and 1 in the ones column. This is 15 in the ones column. So hexadecimal is what computers use. It's their language. So if I double click that, which I'm not going to, it will switch the monitor over to the other computer. And then I push the button on my desktop and it switches the keyboard and mouse. So that way I can have two computers connected to the same monitor, and each of them, one's connected by DisplayPort, so it'll go to 14400 at 180 hertz, whereas the other one is on HDMI and it'll go to 4K at 144 hertz, although it doesn't actually display as 4K. It transposes it back down to 1440p, so you may as well stay at 1440p and run it 1400 on the laptop. The desktop goes to 180, which is smoother. So that's DDC utils. If you want to see what hard drives you have and what space they have left, you can use the df command, and this displays all the file systems, df. So you can see there's run, there's EFRs, there's tempfs. Is a temporary file system, and there's 3 of those. You've got DFI, you have root, you have home, another EFI, and tempfs to user 1000. You've got 3 gigabytes of tempfs here. And what you can do is, if you got a program that needs to have really fast output, but not too much of it, like 3 gigabytes max, you can output to the temporary file system, and there's no lag running to the disk because it's going to memory. We use it a lot at work. So it speeds your programs up immensely. But then when you're done with it, you have to look at the data and say, okay, I want to keep this or not. If you want to keep it, you have to copy it over. And that's not that bad. But it's when you're writing a lot of stuff to it at once, you want to have it go to a tempfs. And the editor I like to use is this one. It's a nice simple editor, Xed. If you're just doing simple text files, this works really well. You can just right click on a file and say open with text editor, or you can run it from the command line, just Xed bin or whatever file you want to look at. Another thing I use a lot. Ping. Is that computer really up? Yes, it is. So you can tell if your computer is connected to the network or not. I have a problem where one of my computers every day, at least one of them, will just say, I can't see that website. Use ping and it says, oh, it's not working. And then what you do from there is you go down to the Ethernet network control, right click on that, or left click on that, and then hit the wired connection, and it'll disconnect, then reconnect, and then suddenly everything's working again. It's something to do with my router. I haven't fixed it yet. But that's what ping is for. SSH minus Y, because we want X11 to come back through it. So forge 5. Put in the password, and now my prompt is on forge 5. And there's Xeyes running through forge 5. But you can put other things on there as well. OBS does not work through here because it doesn't get won't get the right monitor if you're running OBS through SSH. The only monitor it can see is the SSH monitor, and then it only sees the X programs that are running on that monitor. But you can run other things on here, so Xed should run, and then you can start writing a document over on the other one. SSH lets you, I will use it because once in a while the display manager on here, and this one is Mate or Mate, every once in a while it locks up. And on this machine, because it's the laptop and the screen is closed, when you log back out, you log out and log back in, or you hit Control-Alt backspace, it sometimes gets lost. So I have to go in from the other one and tell it to reboot. And then it reboots and comes back up fine. So you can SSH in and do that sort of thing quite easily. Okay, Visual Studio Code. If I go in here and I say open Visual Studio Code from programming, it's going to open to my game that I'm trying to make for my kids or my grandkids. And it goes to a directory. Open recent is recent directories. AI Toolkit. There's all kinds of stuff in here. So I've been playing with VS Code for quite a while. And over in this window here, once it restarts, is a link to OML 7B, which is Olama running OML 7B. So running it from here, it can see these programs, and I can ask it questions about it, and it will give me answers based on the code that's in the program that I tell it to use. So VS Code allows me to use the LLM for coding. So you can have it make changes or suggest changes. Probably better to have it suggest changes than make them. I've seen what telling the different LLMs, go do this, and it goes and wipes out your Git repository. You don't want that to happen. And even this little program here, I have it in Git so that I can track my changes, see how many changes I make, and keep track of my programming so that I can see over time how well I'm progressing and where I've made bugs. And I haven't got a issue tracker. I probably should. At work we use GitLab, so we have the issue tracker there. But, you know, for now this is enough. So I use code. This is C++, or C, not C++. I'm using SDL2. It is a really simple kids game. So what I will do is, when I'm using Git, I use Git GUI. Which should have come up quicker than that. Wait, I'm in the wrong directory. Work. Dev. I know. Okay. Open. And it should come up in that directory. Eventually. Of course, whenever you try to show something, it doesn't work. It should work just straight up. And it's not. That's weird. Current branch master. Well, that's right. Does it not like the dark theme? One file. There's no unstate change. No, there's changes. There should be a file there. There should be a file listed. I'm surprised there's not. Anyway, that was working. I guess I'll keep using Git art of the other one. Okay. Other thing I use a lot is Firefox, because Firefox So everybody should read XKCD. Firefox, great browser. Works for everything I want it to do. It comes installed on Linux Mint. And you can install Chrome if you want. I've got Chrome on one machine because I wanted to use it with Google, but I don't on this one. So, Firefox. Everybody uses Firefox. Besides that, other programs I use, of course, Steam. All my games. Steam runs perfectly fine on Linux, and all my Windows games run there without problems. Other than that, I have OBS, and for an editor, use Kdenlive. You set up standard. And you just drag your files in here, drag them down here when you want them. Put fade in, fade out. Fading on pictures is easy. You just have to grab the top corner. If I go into pictures, grab my dragon, he's there. It's not letting me grab him, probably because I need to have a video in here for that to go, and I haven't got a video yet because I'm writing it right now. So those are a bunch of the programs I use pretty much every day on Linux. I'm hoping that some of them are new to you and you find them useful. And yeah, hopefully you've learned something. If not, you can tell me what you use and why you use it, and maybe we can get a conversation going among people. So, I guess that's it for today. Sorry I rambled on. I hope it's useful. Thank you, and see you next time.